was one of the characters that if I got to rewrite this movie, I would actually write out of it because it her character's fantasy didn't kind of fit the horror element of it either. Like it kind of like her fantasy was that she married a guy that she was involved with years ago, kind of thing, and it was like, well, that doesn't really fit it. Not especially like one of the things I liked about the movie was with Melanie's, it went straight into it. Like she walks through this door and she's straight away into this torture porn kind of chamber that looks like it's straight out of Saw. And that's where I was hoping this movie was going to go. I was hoping that this movie was kind of going to be like a darker edge on, like, because in Fantasy Island, the television series, people always had nice fantasies. Oh yeah, I want to go back and imagine what my life would have been like if I married my high school sweetheart, that kind of thing. Whereas this one, it was like, oh, I want to get revenge on the girl that tortured me at school. And it was like, part of me inside was like, oh, cool, this is going to be awesome. But then, like, it just went in too many different places. Like, and yeah, I know that, like, the writers, and you said before about, like, Jeff Wadlow being involved with Truth or Dare, the two writers that he works with here also wrote Truth or Dare, so it's basically the Truth or Dare team coming back together. But I wonder if it was the wrong team. Like, I think because we saw what happened with the Invisible Man, I found myself thinking after I watched this movie, I wonder what would have happened if Jason Blum had given Lee Winnell the phone call and gone, oh, do you want to do a Fantasy Island remake? Like,
yeah,
I was imagining
the same thing.
Yeah, what he would have done with it, kind of thing. So, yeah, like, it's one of the things that I think I hate the most about cinema is when I love a film and the way it opens, but then, like, the ending of it just crashes. Like, because all it makes me think the entire time was that movie had so much potential and it fell away. And yeah, I think this movie actually would have been a heap better if it had just focused on Melanie's story. Like, that's the great making of a film right there, in that you've got a character who was bullied at school. She shows up on Fantasy Island wanting to get revenge on all the kids that bullied her. Would have been a fantastic story, like, if you found some way to put her life in danger as well. But it just tried to become too smart. Like, when it went into that whole thing about, oh, the island is actually alive and Mr. Rourke has to, like, control that kind of thing, it was like, this has just gone too far now. Like, it's gone out of horror to, it's like a horror version of The Bold and the Beautiful. It's just completely gone out away from where it should be, kind of thing. So, yeah, like, the general idea of making Fantasy Island kind of like a nightmare island, I loved that idea, and I thought it worked really early on, but too many characters and just going too far into the supernatural just messed up this film really badly, I thought.
Yeah, like, I think, I'm not sure how much of it may have been affected by, like I said, the way that they did kind of the family-friendly horror film kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, that torture scene, as you say, this movie could have had kind of like a really dark edge to it, like a Saw kind of edge to it, speaking of Lee Winnell. But, like, it could have gone in that direction. Like, you think, well, Mr. Rourke even brings up, like, the idea that, like, the whole fantasy thing, like, most people's fantasies just involve sex. They're very, like, people are so predictable, you know? And so the movie could have gone in that kind of a direction, like, really, a really adult direction, like, but shown, like, okay, somebody wants to have sex with all these people, and then that turns into, like, a nightmare story. Somebody wants to go to war, he wants to kill people, and then that turns into a nightmare kind of story. Like, a really edgy, kind of like a really dark Twilight Zone kind of thing to it, you know? Yeah, I think that they made this to be PG-13, and there's a lot of the times within the movie that what little violence there is in it seems to be censored. Like, quite obviously, like the way that the way that they cut away from some acts of violence or blood or whatever. Like the movie Truth or Dare, that does have a director's cut. Like on Netflix, the only version that you can get is the director's cut. It's got director's cut plastered all over the poster.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably intending to do the same thing here. But once again, I think that Truth or Dare kind of handled the violence better in its original form before it actually made it to the director's cut. I think I'm just overall I'm not too sure how well this worked as a horror film. Like Blumhouse are really they're really known for being low budget horror movie studio, and it's a pity because they have potential to do so much more than that, like what they did with Upgrade, doing this kind of really cool cyberpunk type movie, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like it may have been a mistake to make this movie as a Blumhouse film, like with the PG, making it like cutting back on the violence rather than going all out with it, and maybe even making it a horror movie in the first place. Maybe that could have worked, but not in the way that I guess that Blumhouse wanted to make this one. I don't know, and maybe it would have been more interesting had they given the film to maybe better writers and a better director who made it something more of a life-affirming movie with a message of like not wishing your life away rather than this weird supernatural horror flick.
Yeah.
Like that's even the song. Like this is just me thinking, but even the song that plays in the credits, which I think is the point of it is on don't wish your life away or something. That's like the chorus. And it feels like something that belongs in a much more upbeat movie.
Yeah.
Like this film, it has there's action and drama and comedy and horror, and it's really a mess of stuff altogether. There's too many things going on in it. Either be a lighthearted, life-affirming film, or be a really dark horror film about like the extreme and the dark side of people's desires. I think that was really, they kind of went in a bad direction with it, and like especially like the final act really hurts the film, like because they try to throw all these twists at you, and a lot of them don't seem to work.
Yeah.
Like, I was totally fine with the details of the island and how Rourke got there, and how he was controlling the island or whatever, like, and how he knew about that and what exactly was happening. I was fine with all of that being left as a mystery, but when you start answering some of these things with plot twists and reveals, I start wondering about other things that the movie doesn't answer, like how these people actually found out about this island in the first place, and like, spoilers, but like that it all works out as some kind of very convenient way to hatch this scheme. What works in the movie really falls apart in that third act when they start trying to throw all these twists at you, and none of them really landed for me.
Yeah, same. That's when I kind of lost it as well. Like there was points in this movie where I was really, really into it, and like I actually even didn't mind like the character showing up and saying, "You guys have got to get off the island. This is how you do it," kind of thing. Like that to me, like it almost had elements of The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio in that part, like where the guy was like, he reminded me a lot of the Robert Carlyle character in The Beach, where he like gives Leonardo DiCaprio the map, but he's like, "Don't go here. Whatever you do, don't go here." It's like the guy has this fixation where he's like, he wants more people to go there, but he knows the danger of it and warns people not to go there, even though he's given them the map, knowing full well that they're going to go there. That character kind of had the same feel for me, but it was like, that's what I wanted to see more of. Like, I wanted to see, I thought the whole thing about, this is how their story all links together, I know that somewhere, some writing room, they would have been like patting each other on the back going, "Oh, what a great premise. That's absolutely magical the way we've done that." But I actually think the film would have been better without it. Like, sometimes that kind of thing does happen in a writing room where it's like, great idea, but kind of lame when it goes up on the screen, because to me the power of this movie was what you see as a fantasy might be a nightmare. Like, and even in everyday life, you hear people say about, oh, my fantasy would be to do this, and you kind of look at them and you're like, man, that would be an absolute nightmare if that happened. Like, you would ruin your life by doing that. And that's the kind of thing I think would actually have worked, because I think the story in this that, apart from Melanie's story, the story that I kind of liked the most was Patrick and Brax's story, where it's like, oh, we want to have everything. We want to be like two brothers that can have, for Patrick, any girl they want, and for Brax, any guy that he could want, and we have this big rich house, and it's like, yeah, like the island shows them how that can become a nightmare. It's like, okay, you've got everything, but how did you get it? And that was the kind of things that I liked. It was when it started to like go into that ultra smart part of, oh, but all the stories are linked. Like, there's a link there, you've got to find it. And it's like, and I think also because they never gave us an inkling of that earlier, like, it almost felt like the writers at some point have gone, we need a way to end this movie and make it smart. Oh, let's make all the stories links. If that had been a premise all the way through the movie, then perhaps I would have been more okay with it. But like, it just felt, especially when they tried to put like Gwen into that, like Maggie Q's character, that just felt really forced. And it's like, I don't know, like, it's just, it felt like there was some poor filmmaking decisions in there. Like, even the whole idea about, well, this is why Melanie's on the island. It's like, but to reveal kind of, well, actually it's not. It's like, well, but who are you trying to fool there? Because, like, she's there with a mission, but why are you showing us a red herring? Like, it kind of, it just, to me, like, felt like filmmakers who thought, look, I've got this really smart idea, let's do it, but they actually would have been a lot better off if they just made it like a basic kind of Saw storyline that kind of showed people, what, your dreams can become a nightmare.
Yeah, like, even something like potential, some kind of a collaborative movie with maybe different filmmakers handling different characters and their particular stories. Like, this movie could have been directed by like 4 different people. Like, something like, again, like the Twilight Zone movie with Steven Spielberg and Tobe Hooper and different people directing different sequences. Hopefully nobody would die in the making of this one, but like, it could have been really an interesting film. Like, even if they had tried to do something pretty smart and something ambitious. Like, so it was another thing. Either just do a simple slasher kind of movie with these characters, or do something where Blumhouse gets his stable of different actors. Lee Winnell doing one film, another director doing another one, even Jeff Wadlow doing one.
Yeah.
Like, that could have been an interesting direction to take it, but just what they actually did really didn't really work. I think it was really kind of a disappointment, and what they hoped would work was this kind of like the M. Night Shyamalan what a twist kind of thing. That the thing that was supposed to tie the movie all together is these twists that the film's pulling out of its ass, and at like 10 minutes before the credits roll. And just that it didn't really work on almost any level. I think it was kind of a waste of the actors and a waste of the brand. I mean, nobody was really expecting, hey, when are we going to make a Fantasy Island movie?
Yeah.
But it still would have been a cool. It could have been something really interesting, and I think that unfortunately, considering like how much you and we both like the way that Blumhouse handled The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
I think it's really a disappointment it's disappointing how they've handled this one.
Yeah, and I think I've been a big fan of their stuff over the time. Like, there's been stuff like Happy Death Day and that I'll happily tell people, I love that movie. Like, and it's happened a lot with a lot of Blumhouse movies. And there has been a couple along the way. It's really been funny. The ones that have been critically acclaimed are normally the ones that I don't like. Like, yeah, just those ones kind of like I watch them and I'm like, they go a little bit over the top with trying to make them political. Like, and a great example was Black Christmas. Like, I hated Black Christmas, because they tried to make the movie too political. But I kind of think, and I know this sounds really bad because